little bit hard for them to hear, or they don't really understand, or no interest, it doesn't matter, because you have those experiences. You own them. They will never be taken from you.
Welcome to the Masters of Wellness podcast channel. Join us on a transformative journey as we explore the intersection of health, well-being, and global perspectives. Each episode delves into holistic approaches that combine Eastern wisdom with Western science, offering actionable insights to enhance your mind, body, and spirit. Hosted by wellness experts Edward and Chuck and inspiring international guests, we discuss topics ranging from mindfulness and nutrition to fitness, innovation, and business. Whether you're a wellness professional, enthusiast, or someone seeking to improve your lifestyle, you'll find valuable takeaways here. Subscribe now and be part of a thriving community dedicated to creating a healthier, more balanced world. Let's grow together, one conversation at a time. New episodes every week.
Hello and welcome back again to the Masters of Wellness podcast. We have a really super special guest today, Kate. I'm going to introduce her in a moment. But first of all, JC, what's been your highlight of your last week in your life?
Well, my journey of life has really shifted to be more of a helper of people, which is bizarre because I've been in real estate forever and I've been doing that. And it's amazing that I'm realizing the connection to I've already been doing that, but now I look at it more as I'm here to help people and I also get paid to do it, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. And Chuck, quickly share what's been your highlight of the last week since we last spoke.
Integration. The fact that I have these abilities or all these confident levels there and just they were dormant from all the fear that I had in my life and fear of things that were out of control. Joel, in his intimate wisdom, sent me an amazing book called Conversation with God. And from there, it literally highlighted things that just spoke to me so well, that we have two feelings, love and fear, and that you are going to be beneficial in your life if you have the love feeling and not the fear feeling. It makes sense on the surface. As I say it, I'm like, wow, how did I not know this before? It just was not being able to be presented in the right way. So it just really, I would say my last week has been really grounding and learning more and more about myself. So I'm continuing that path.
Awesome. Whatever time you're watching this episode, we call this the Liberation Week episode. But in our terms, we're talking about liberating our minds, nothing else. And our special guest today, Kate. Kate just mentioned to us that she's a practice manager. And I've got an interesting story. When I was first starting as a personal trainer many years ago in Australia, I was looking for clients. And one day I saw there was a medical clinic very close to where I lived. So in the evening time, I went there and I looked on the window. There was 7 names of doctors on the window. So I wrote down all of the doctors' names, and then I went home that night and I wrote some personal handwritten letters to each of the doctors to introduce myself as a personal trainer in the area. If they have any customers that need to do exercise or have any injuries or want to lose weight or whatever, please refer them to me. And I put a little chocolate bar in the envelope, and then I sent it to the practice. And a few days later, I actually got a call from a lady who was the practice manager of the medical center. And she said, first of all, I want to say thank you for the 7 chocolates that I received. And then secondly, very impressed with how I've introduced myself. And she herself wanted to come and train with me to learn how to do some exercise and help improve her health. So she became one of my first real clients, I guess. And here I was training the practice manager of a medical center, which had hundreds of people coming through every week. So that was like a real springboard for my business to actually take off, where I was working with that lady and then subsequently the doctors as well from the clinic. So Kate, I'm very happy that you're a practice manager. And the last few weeks we've talked to JC. He's shared a lot about his experience visiting a retreat and trying plant medicine. And then more recently, Chuck as well has gone through his journey over a few episodes, and he'll be sharing more on our next episode as well. But the first question I like to ask people that are taking this journey is what was the catalyst or the background behind your decision to say, hey, this is something I'm looking for. I'd like to go and try it. Is it something that you felt was a dire need for you, or was it just something that you heard good things about from other people?
It's been my life's journey for the last 5 years. So my mom died in 2018, and like every other bad situation in my life, she died. I went to work the next day and continued working and just did not deal with any of it. And that entire year, I found myself in a darkness that I couldn't pull myself out of. And I was going through the motions of life, but I couldn't like mentally process what I was going through. And so I actually Googled how to get over a death of a loved one. And of course, all these things pop up, and ayahuasca was on that list as like a form of letting go of grief. So I started Googling it, and then I started looking at YouTube videos and watching all the documentaries I could find and reading anything I could do on it. And at this point in time, I thought I have to go to the Amazon to do this, right? I would not even have thought that going somewhere in America was a thing. So my boss, I said to him, I really need you to go to Peru with me to do this. Okay, and imagine telling a gynecologist that is like the most straight-laced square guy in the world that you want him to go to the Amazon to drink a psychedelic tea, right? But he speaks Spanish, and that's why I needed him to go, because I was like, look, I watched scary movies. I need to know that if these people are going to chop me up and kill me, that you speak the language and can at least tell me to run. Okay, that's all I need you for. You don't even have to drink it. Just go with me so I know that if they're planning on like something nefarious, I can get out quickly. And he was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So I kept researching it, and then of course like mainstream media came up, and like, you know, you had like Megan Fox talking about it and Machine Gun Kelly and all of these celebrities kind of started talking about it. And I'm like, God, I really need to do this. Like my soul, like it was calling to my soul, but I was not ready to make a leap to go to the Amazon. So coincidentally, in November, I was laying in bed, and I like was like kind of saying my prayers, and I was kind of like at a place in my life where I'm like, there's got to be more to life, right? And so I was like, you know, God, just like tell me what I'm supposed to do here. And maybe 2 days later, a friend had posted that he was doing an ayahuasca retreat in Florida, and I immediately was like, Florida, what? How? And so then I got the information from him, and this was December-ish, and so I kind of started talking to him about it and getting the information. And so that's how I came to be able to experience ayahuasca, because I don't think I would have ever gone to the Amazon to do that.
I remember when JC shared his story, I think he was thinking of going to the Amazon as well, and then found something that was quite local to yourself. Chuck had it a little bit easier because he already knew JC who'd done it, and JC kind of walked him through the whole process and where to go, and even dropped him off, sent him off to school on the day as well, I remember, which was interesting. JC and Chuck have both shared their experience of the entire retreat weekend, what it looks like. JC's done it a few times, Chuck's done it once. How many times have you done the retreat? Is it only the once or more?
Actually, just once, and I was supposed to do 2 ceremonies in that weekend, and I actually did not do the second ceremony. I arrived and immediately got acquainted with the people that would be on this journey with me. Some of the most beautiful people I ever met. We, you know, got settled in, and I went to like, you know, went to my bedroom, whatever. And then at 7 o'clock, we went to the ceremony room, and there was a introduction with the shaman where he kind of explained everything to us and what we were going to experience, and, you know, what to do, what not to do. And then we went around the room and told what our intentions were for this journey that we were about to, you know, experience, and what we wanted to get out of it. So my intentions have changed a million times over the past 2 months since I had signed up for it. But really, the biggest intention was I wanted to find my purpose in life. Like, I know that I'm meant to help people. I've been doing it my entire life. You know, almost to like my own detriment, because I put myself way down on the list to help a total stranger. And I felt like I was like this stagnant pool of water, right? So like, I'm still there, I'm still pure, but I'm like collecting mosquitoes and leeches, right? And I needed to like find my purpose to like get out of that. And I needed to figure out how I could help people and also keep myself above water, because I had things going on in my life. My dad was recently diagnosed with cancer, and, you know, just a lot of heaviness that I needed to kind of find my purpose and redirect myself. So I just said my purpose is to, you know, find my purpose in life.
JC shared that once he got into it, he was open and enthusiastic to do it as much as possible. Like he was telling the guy, give me more, and then looking forward to the next day and the next day. Chuck also did 3 ceremonies, one on the first Friday night, and then a daytime one on Saturday, and then an evening one on Saturday night. What was the reason that you did it once and then stopped? Was it a bad experience, or you achieved what you wanted?
I'm going to tell you that it was the most, like, hindsight, it was the most beautiful experience I've ever experienced. And it's something that I will definitely go back and do. At the time though, so I drank the medicine and it hit me very quickly. I mean, maybe within a half an hour. It was not what I was expecting. And after I drank it, I kind of sat straight up and I was doing breathing exercises and I was, just kind of getting myself in the mental. So I don't know if maybe I brought that on quickly because of that. But I looked across from me and there was gentlemen, on a mat in their journey, and they had turned into aliens, and they had like 4 eyes, and it was like everything was like just moving together, and their faces were bright white and they were outlined in like the most beautiful fluorescent green and purple colors that you could imagine. And I'm looking around and I'm like, yep, this is definitely like an acid trip times 1,000. And I said to myself, I don't want visuals, right? Because like I wasn't there to be like screwed up. I wasn't there to, I didn't want any of that. I needed to be in my brain. So I closed my eyes and I was like, I'm not giving myself visuals. Well, I closed my eyes and I saw the brightest, whitest, most beautiful light that you will ever, I can't even describe it to you. Like, think about the most purest light of love with colors just on the outside, just kind of moving, like colors I've never even seen before. Like, I can't even, how do you explain that, right? And I knew in that moment that it was God, and I felt peace and I felt love and I felt an understanding with myself and the world that I had never felt before. And in that moment, I heard everything you need is at home. And I like closed my eyes and I was like, I don't even need to be here. Like I didn't need to drink this medicine. Everything I need is at home. And so I laid down for a minute, and then I realized that I was really out of it. And so I managed one time to utter the words help. And one of the volunteers came to me and he knelt in front of me. And in real world, well, I'll call it right, in 3D world, he was just kneeling in front of me. But in my head, he had came into my brain and he was talking to me inside of my brain. And he was so beautiful. And he had this like hat on and his face was just like purple and melting, and it was just out of this world. And he said, breathe, deep breathe, in and out, in and out. And so I started to do that. And then I started to get sick, and I did what is called the purge. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know how long that I was getting sick for, but I can tell you it's exactly what my mind and my body needed at that time. And then I laid down and I closed my eyes because I was still seeing these visuals, and I went into a darkness, which I'm going to say, like when I talk to people, I say that I was in hell, but I wasn't in hell with the devil with fire. There were no demons. It wasn't like that. It was like my version of hell. Like if you can imagine being in a depressed state, and I'm sure we've all been there, like I will always tell people like it's a dark neighborhood in my head sometimes. And I was kind of taken to that dark neighborhood, and I had to face situations in my life that I had repressed and buried, and I couldn't ask for help. So to the outside world, everybody thought that I was sleeping, but I was wide awake in my head, just experiencing moments of my life that I needed to experience. And it actually got to a point where I was so upset and so scared that I said to myself, this is not real and it will end soon. This is not real and it will end soon. Like I knew in that state that I could say that to myself. And then I said, the only way out is in. I have to go in. And then at that point, I knew, buckle up because you're going to have to face this. Like if you want change, if you want to figure out why you are the way you are, and if you want purpose, these are the reasons that are holding you back from living your, true life and being your authentic self. And so you have to deal with that. And so that's exactly what I did. And I don't know how long I was like that. I'm going to say probably for a good 5 hours. Not really sure. And then I finally did wake up. Yeah, here we go. I'm telling the world. I woke up and I was covered in my own feces. Like literally, I had pooped my pants. I don't know how long that I had been that way for, but I'm sure it was a while because cleaning myself off was not an easy task. So I got up off of this mat and I walked outside and there was a fire. And before we started the journey, they said, like, when you come out of it, you're going to see the flicker of the fire. Go outside. There will be people out there to help you. So I'm assuming that there are people outside to help me. And I walk outside and I can't see anybody by the fire. I just see the fire, but I'm like, I am not walking to these people with feces in my pants. So I went around to the side to the bathroom and I, you know, assessed my situation, which was grave. And I sat there for like a good 10 minutes thinking, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to have to go over here and tell these people, like, yep, here we go, guys. I need some help. But I'm like, okay, there is like no pride here, right? Like we're all friends. We're all doing this crazy experience. So just go for it. So I was not going to pull my pants up with, obviously. So I took my pants and my underwear completely off and all I have on is a hoodie. And I walk out and I say, can somebody help me? And nobody comes. And then I walk over and I realize nobody's there. I'm alone. So I'm like, what do I do? Okay, there's a dumpster or there's like a trash can, throw your pants away. So I immediately just throw my pants and underwear in this trash can. And I'm like, okay, now you need to go into the house. So it's like this retreat place. It's like a wooded area and there's a house. And so I have to kind of walk around, you know, coming out of this ayahuasca stupor with no pants, no shoes, no underwear, just a hoodie. And I'm like, no big deal. It's got to be maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. So everybody's going to be in bed, right? And I open the door and I walk in and there is 3 Jewish men singing and dancing the most beautiful Hebrew songs you will ever encounter. And it was like, I just was like, what is going on here? And so I sat there for a minute because I'm like, I'm going to have to walk by these men with no pants on. And what do? Do I turn around? Do I go back? I kind of sat there for a minute and I peeked my head in and I was like, you know what? I'm just going for it. I like, whatever. So I just like, they're singing and dancing and they're just happy, dancing in the kitchen. And I walk by, I'm like, excuse me, and I'm sure I probably smelled horrible too, right? Because let's not forget that my pants were away, but I still needed to clean myself. And I managed my way up the stairs and I found the shower. And of course, there's somebody in the shower at this time. So I have to go into my bedroom and just stand there until this person comes out of the shower because there is another shower there, but it's downstairs off the kitchen, which would have meant I have to walk back downstairs and interrupt the 3 amigos dancing and singing to go to this shower. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So I waited and then eventually the person came out of the shower and I was able to get in. And so I wasn't allowed to have my cell phone in the ceremony room and I had left it in the car. So when I put my pajamas on and I got into bed, I was like, it is so cold outside. I'm not going back out there to get my cell phone. I don't even care. Like, I'm going to bed. And I laid there for like maybe an hour. And then I was like, my family probably thinks I'm like, chopped up in the woods somewhere. I should probably reach out. And so I did meander my way to the car to get my cell phone. And I texted my family group chat. And I just said, hey, everyone, I'm okay. My mother-in-law was like, I didn't sleep all night. I was watching your location. I'm like, what was watching my location going to do? But okay, so, and I told them, I was like, I met God. I had the most beautiful experience, pooped my pants, and, you're right, right? Like, it actually was. And they were like, oh my God, oh my God. And, my sister-in-laws were all like laughing at me and they were like, but I was like, I got what I needed. I heard what I heard and I don't think that I'm going to stay. I think I'm going to come home. Like, it was just too wild for me. And that's exactly what I did. A side note, I went with my cousin who also had an experience that life-changing for her. But at the time she was like, I want to go home. And she actually literally changed our plane tickets like the minute she woke up, because she was like, and I was like, I'll go with you. So that was the experience. I want to say that anybody who is watching this and who is talking about, the purge, and you throw up and you vomit and oh my God, you pooped your pants and all of this, in the moment, you don't know that's happening. Like, you're not throwing up, and it's not like a flu where you're like, my stomach hurts so bad and I can't take this. Like, you are literally getting rid of every bit of sadness, anger, depression, like anything that is negative that your body just can't let go because whatever reason. Like, some people thrive in chaos. Some people need to feel those feelings because it's the only feeling that they get. For whatever reason, it's actually probably one of the most beautiful experiences, like getting that out. And you just feel so much better, like not even physically, but just mentally and emotionally. It just, it's a soul cleansing. Like, that's when I was like trying to explain to people and they were saying like, oh my God, you pooped your pants. And I'm like, you know what? But like, my soul is clean, right? Like, I am clear. I feel great. I recommend everyone, you should probably just go lay in your bed tonight and just try it. You don't know what it'll do for you. So I recommend the purge.
Goodness. Okay, so JC, you are, out of everyone here, you're the one that's had the most experience with this. What's your take on what Kate shared just now?
So, there's that whole like there are no coincidences thing that I used to hear before I got on this journey, and now I realize how interconnected, just sitting here watching the screen right now. So Kate and I did not know each other before she embarked on this journey. Okay, we went to the same high school. She just happened to be 4 years behind me, which is crazy in and of itself, that I now live in Florida and met her 20 years later. The friend that she's talking about that sent her to the place Tikkun is actually one of my good friends that I went to high school with, who I've been connected with forever. And he actually connected me with Kate before she went and did ayahuasca for the first time, because he knew that I had the experience and knew that he said, you guys are basically the same person, right? And her and I have really connected and have become really, really close friends. And as crazy as this sounds, we've never even met each other, but I consider her one of my best friends of life. Like, we have agreed that we will be best friends for eternity. That's
Absolutely.
how crazy this kind of situation is. Okay. So, and then, this whole ayahuasca connection that the three of us now have is just so bizarre on such a deep level that we can't even wrap our heads around yet. And you say I've done this a bunch of times. No, I'm an infant too. I think if I did ayahuasca 100,000 times in the grand cosmos, I would still be an infant, because whatever this is that we're experiencing and living, I've come to we're all searching and seeking. You've heard me say it before. I feel like this is a video game. I feel like I'm on the Truman Show. I was telling Kate earlier this morning, like, look around, because there's cameras watching us. So, like, we're a reality show of the cosmos. So, and this whole connection with this Soul Quest place where I first went, and now Kate is connected to me through, it's like that. What is that? Like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, or what? I think I'm butchering, right? But it's like the 6 degrees of ayahuasca journey that's happening in my life, and how everything is intertwining. And I swear to you, like, the one thing I want to say is, look at everybody, not just us, that's talking about their ayahuasca experience. There is this connection to the divinity. Okay. It's not like I guided her to say, hey, look for God. Although I'm sure I probably said, what, maybe like more like, watch out, because you might find yourself in the presence of God. She found it in 10 minutes. Chuck, I think when his third ceremony popped off, Jesus showed up and basically said, come on in, like, the water's fine, right? So we're all having this connection. And, I've done tons of research through Reddit. That's the one place where I spend a lot of time these days. And so many people say that they're feeling God or they're experiencing God. And when we describe God, that's a very complicated subject, right? And it amazes me how people constantly say God, right? But what we don't even have a clue. We can't even fathom what that is. And, I close my eyes, and if everybody, and people watching this, close your eyes. What does God look like to you? I would imagine 100 million people would do that, and 100 million people would see something different, right? Like we have no, like, what is that really? So there's just something so divine, so powerful at work here. I hate to say the word obsessed, but I can't help but be obsessed with finding out the nature of our reality, right? Like I feel like that's what's happening here. And what's wild, and you said at the beginning that in 60 seconds, tell me what's going on. But the finish of that answer is today, after we finish this podcast, I am going to Sacred Vine where Chuck had his journey, but this time I am a volunteer. So I'm going on the other side. So tonight I'm going to be wearing all white, and my goal as a healer of the world is to become that purple guy with the hat on that Kate saw on her journey. And I have full intentions, if somebody asks me to do it, to enter their mind and help them in any way that I possibly can.
I want to touch on the whole God thing because since I need to give some full disclosure that in my life, I haven't always been a true believer of God, right? And so I was actually, I'm going to say like atheist at one point, and not atheist to the, people hear the word atheist and you say, oh my God, she worships the devil or she does. And it wasn't like that, but I was just like, you know what? I don't need God. I don't need Jesus. I don't need anyone to be a good person. Like I know that I'm a good person, right? And I know that, I live my life to the highest standard of helping people. And so I read this book, The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, and, kind of turned me upside down for a little while. And my husband's super religious and, prays every day. And, everybody he comes in contact with, he's like, God loves you. And so, kind of teetered on whatever. But I knew that, like, I have children and I want my children to believe in God. And so I kind of always kept those thoughts to myself. And then things happened in my life that I can't explain other than God, right? It was like true divine intervention that allowed these situations to occur to me and happen to me. But in my journey, when I saw God first, I know that the reason that he came to me in that moment was because he knew that I needed to go to that dark place, right? I needed to experience all of the repressed sadness and anger and fear and everything in my brain. And so he showed himself to me first because I now know he was saying, I've always been there. I have always loved you and I'm always going to be here. And I'm really sorry that you're about to go on this horrible, path of self-discovery right now. But like, I am the light. I am here and I am not leaving you. And so I think that's like really important for people to understand that, I have, like they call this the God particle. Like this medicine is of like not of this world, and I think that if people just kind of understood that, and there may be people who don't experience it, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm on such a path of, spirituality and self-discovery that, I was able to be opened up the way that I am. But God is definitely in this medicine if you open yourself up to receiving him. I don't think that you're not going to find God if you don't want to, if you want to find him. He's going to show himself to you and he's going to let you know that he's always been there.
Maybe even if you're not looking. So for me, I would call myself agnostic for beforehand. I'm a Christian now. That's, we haven't really totally gotten to that crazy story in all these podcasts. But I went into this, I wasn't looking for God at all. I was just trying to get over losing my dad and figure out how to be a better human. And next thing I know, I'm there in this presence of the creator. And then he blasted me off to hell. It's wild how there's this whole, like you feel this heaven or God presence, and then it sends you to hell. And look, I'm even creating this infinite loop with my hands. I constantly do that now. And Kate and I have been talking this, and Chuck had this too. So check this out, guys. We all three of us have agreed that we had this experience of this, like everything and nothing, right?
Yes.
Like it showed us. To me, it showed me the absolute. So in my 5 ceremonies, I reached heaven, nirvana, whatever it is, that's just a word. It doesn't matter, right? Like whatever that is, it showed me that. I felt it for a full ceremony, the purest, like, oh, this is heaven. And then at one point in the one ceremony, I was in the deepest, darkest depths of hell, where it felt like microscopic organisms were eating every molecule of my body for eternity, right? Like, talk about two extremes, but somewhere in between that absolute batshit crazy chaos that happened in my mind, I'm now enlightened. But I'm not allowed to say enlightened, because I said that too. I do Reiki every once in a while. And the funny thing is that my Reiki girl, or whatever, I don't even know what she calls her. She doesn't call herself, because she is kind of enlightened. She's just a person. She said, well, if you were enlightened, you wouldn't say you were enlightened. And I was like, oh, damn, you just put me in check. An enlightened person would never say I'm enlightened. They would just exist, right? So that, like, she planted that seed in my brain, and that's what I live for now. I want to become enlightened, but I don't want to feel the need to tell you that I'm enlightened, and I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, because I like to say that I'm enlightened.
Yeah.
So,
And what I loved about the conversation with God that really put it in total alignment with everything that I just experienced 3 weeks ago at my ayahuasca ceremony and all my interactions with Joel and going to church is you hear a conversation literally with God. It's this guy that's writing, God's taking over, and then it's a recording on YouTube. So we could put that in the comments below if you wanted to check it out.
Definitely.
I was fascinated and I could not stop listening to it because everything that God was writing and this guy was saying was just really clicking. That there is no hell. That there is hell is the fear that we live in every day. Wrap your mind around that. And if you think about the experiences that we all had where we were in fear and we were pushing through those dark moments, those are all memories most of the time. It sounds like for Kate, those are memories of dark times. Those are memories of fear that you had that, you're never going to get over this morning, or that you're never going to get past this situation. What God said in this conversation is that the fear that you live in, the anxiety that you live in, that is your hell. And that we are all here. First off, he says that what we are, Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, that we are souls, essentially we are him, right? We are spirits intended to have a human experience to help him have experiences to evolve as well.
Which is
So
hard to
each and every
wrap your
single one of us.
which is hard to wrap your head around at first, but
Yeah.
I believe that, right? Because
And you hear a lot of this unity when you go to church. You hear a lot of this unity when you are working with spiritual people, that we're all one, right? That we should take, do whatever you would do to yourself with others, right? Like say whatever you would say to yourself with others. And then you hear this conversation with God, and he's talking about how we are him, right? And that we all are here to have an experience. And whether that experience is good or bad is not his or hers
yeah,
point. It's the experience itself. And ultimately, where the enlightened ones are able to have this power is when they realize that they can control it to be nothing but positive experiences. So I found the conversation with God to be absolutely amazing. And I think if I would have read or listened to that after, or excuse me, before my ayahuasca experience, it wouldn't have hit so well.
yeah, because that's, I talk to people now, and it's still really weird for me to say it because I'm new to the religious thing, for lack of a better word, is that I actually have conversations with God now. And then that leads me to wonder, okay, is this my voice talking back to me, or is it really God? And I've come to this conclusion that it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, because I'm looking out for my best interest. So even if I'm just tricking myself to think that these answers that are coming from God back to me, like, imagine that, are good. If you imagine that God is good and God wants you to succeed and have a good life, then I'm not going to ask God a question. He's going to say, no, go chop off your arm. He's going to say, do the right thing. So it doesn't really matter. I know the three of us agree, and I'm thinking the four of us agree that there's a God that created us for a purpose, right? There has to be. And at the same time, if there is no purpose, then whatever. We can't change it. We can't do anything. So I'm going to be optimistic and say here that there's a creator that made us for a purpose, and the purpose is good, because human beings without any direction tend to be naturally inclined to be good and not bad, right? The evils of the world pull us into that hell, into that negative, into that fear. Just like Chuck was talking about, the love and the fear. That's it for me. You don't have to waste your time. I don't waste my time saying, oh, I'm having anxiety or I feel nervous about this. I don't care. Is it love or is it fear? And if it's fear, throw it in the trash and look over here to love. And it's going to work out for you. It's really kind of that simple. And the crazy thing is, I don't really think you need plant medicine to figure that out. It just took us that. But you can maybe save yourself from pooping your pants and throwing up all night and just try to find love. And you might be okay at the end of the day, right?
You know what? But who can be more freer than to say, you know what? I pooped my pants and here I am. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Go for it.
I'm not saying don't
Please
do it.
lay
I'm not saying don't
lay
do
in
it.
your bed tonight, please, friends, all of you. Just find your God and let it go.
I'm going to have to disagree. No, don't crap your pants in your bed. I mean, look at the links. Like, watch the podcast, and we'll help you skip the poop in your pants part, I think.
Yeah, I think I know. It's fine.
No poop in your pants.
I mean, listen, I probably will do it every time.
Actually, how about this? If you accidentally poop yourself, just tell everybody that you're having a spiritual experience.
This is really funny. My friend texted me yesterday, and I had finally posted my experience about it on Facebook because I'm a pretty much open book and I tell everybody everything. And so my friend read it, and he sent me a text message, and he said, are you going to wear Depends next time? And I said, no. As a matter of fact, I'm not wearing anything. I'm not shaving my legs, and I'm going straight in as Sasquatch.
Yeah, that second vine's going to need more than a bucket. Let me just say that.
I'm looking at his mortality right now, and I'm aware that, my time here with him is limited. And before I went to drink ayahuasca, it was hard for me. And I'm not saying that it's not hard for me, right? Because who wants to lose a parent, right? And I've been through it before, and I know the darkness that comes after. But I have a peace in the fact that I'm not meant to understand anything, right? Everything is nothing, right? Well, you said it, and that's exactly what it is. Like, I'm not meant to understand why my dad is sick. I'm not meant to understand any of, this craziness that is going on in my world. There is a reason behind it, and I might one day look back and know, okay, this was the reason, or I might never be told the reason. And that's okay, because I'm okay with not knowing now. I'm at peace because I know that there is a creator of everything. And I know that when my dad moves on to his next journey, his physical body will not be here, but I know that his soul is going to pass on. And I know that it's actually a beautiful thing. Like, I'm not scared for him. I'm not sad for him. And I think that that's a piece that you can't put a price tag on. It's just like this medicine, what it has done in one night for me has just given me the best, most positive outlook on life that I will forever be grateful for. And after I understand the experiences and I know that, I'm in the real world, because I still am kind of questioning my existence and, is this real? Am I still in my journey? Last week I had a complete mental breakdown because I thought that it was not Thursday and I was actually in Friday, and I was still in my journey, and everything that I was experiencing, I was actually experiencing in my head, right? To figure that out. But once I come to terms with the fact of everything, I will 100% go drink it again. And I know that I'm only going to get positive out of it. Like, there is never, if your heart is pure and you're a good human, then I think what ayahuasca is going to do for you is just to intensify that. If your heart is not pure and you're not a good human, you should probably work on yourself before you drink ayahuasca. That's
you know who you are.
So that's what I'm going to say.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. Fix yourself. Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to bring up, because we're talking about this medicine and it's pure, right? But then we've had that conversation this is what I'm going through, and I'm just going to put it out there with my mother-in-law, who was the one who brought me to Jesus, brought me to Christ, by the way. And that whole experience where I felt the Holy Spirit enter my body 3 days after I got back from my last ayahuasca experience, after I spent the weekend in heaven, and then I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior. I mean, I'm telling you, looking right at the camera, I felt the Holy Spirit as real as I sit here right now enter my body. And I call it a hijacking. It was as if God stepped in and said, enough with this crap, man. Like, I have been here at every turn for you. I literally showed myself to you, and now you're mine. And I'm right then and there, I accepted Jesus as my Savior. And then that opens up this door to, okay, well, what about all these other belief systems I was looking into? I have no shame in saying that I think they're all real. And that's what I heard inside the plant medicine journey too. Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, struggling still a little bit with the Muslim thing, but I got work to do there to accept and understand. But like, I think they're all a path in their own way. And and as a matter of fact, I'm going to say I would challenge somebody who is a Muslim. If you see this, reach out to me, because I would love to learn more about that too, because that's what this medicine does for you. It opens you up, right? It gives us this like Jesus presence. I just want to help people. I want to understand you. If your beliefs are 100% opposite of mine, help me understand your side. And maybe I'm wrong. And you can show me that you're right and I'm wrong. And I'm totally open to that. And I think that's what the point of this whole thing is, you know? Like, that's the point of life, is we're all here. We're human beings. We're on this crazy globe flying through space. Like, what the heck is this? And when Kate is talking about, is this real? Like, my answer is, I don't know. And back to my mother, and back to what I was saying, you know, I tell stories in a circle with my mother-in-law. My wife and my mother-in-law are legitimately the only two people on this planet Earth who don't agree with my plant medicine journey, which is, wow, what a struggle. The two of the people I love the most on this earth, I'm still trying to figure it out, right? And I hope that as I share with them all the beautiful things that I'm able to do, that the actions speak in place of the words, because right now I'm trying to be the best person I can. And I just hope that everybody sees that. And I'm just trying to share that love and that light. But again, I don't have this all figured out. This medicine is crazy. I mean, it takes you in there in dark places. I've seen demons. I've seen God. I've seen darkness. I close my eyes and I can still picture that journey. So I'm literally still trying to figure it out. So that's where I'm at. I don't know. It feels pure. But I also, but the darkness is what we need to face, right? Like, we have to face our demons because they're real. They're there, right? You can't turn your back on them because that's not real.
Maybe the intention is for you to face the demons and release them, right?
Yeah.
Release the fear. You don't need them anymore, but you
Yeah.
can't harbor them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, touching on, my husband's the same way with this medicine, so he does not understand any of it, you know, and before I went, I knew that he was like voiced that he was afraid for me to go. And he's never tried any kind of psychedelics or, you know, anything of that nature. So I understood him not understanding it. And when I came home and I sat at the dining room table with him, and I'm, you know, I literally, as soon as I walked in the door, I'm like, all right, let me tell you all about this, you know, and I'm gung ho, like down to, yep, I crapped my pants and I had to walk by these men with no pants on. And I'm trying to explain it to him, and he's like, I don't get it. Like, you know, he just doesn't get it. And then I'm like, I think that you should try this, like, you know, he's like, I never, like, I will never. And then, you know, I kind of said to him that it was like DMT, like part,
And there's the end of our segment.
And
in
bye.
person.
But hey, look, this is a good introduction to what we're going to cover next, which is integrating after plant medicine. But also, I think I'm finding a lot of spiritual, mental therapy in the integration process.
Yeah.
And I know that in our next episode, when we share what we're discovering, I mean, you're almost purposely meant or required. It's encouraged, but definitely you should require yourself to go through integration after a plant medicine experience.
Yeah.
You're learning so much in such a compact period of time that you need to unpack it. And Kate's still unpacking it. I'm still unpacking it. Heck, Joel
I am.
is unpacking it. But if you don't want to go and do plant medicine, there's still a ton of nuggets that you can learn from our unpacking of our own plant medicine experience. And that's what
Yeah.
we're going to cover in the next episode.
And Ed, are you witnessing on screen us like having these downloads? I mean, you have to be, right? It's actually perfect that you haven't done this, because you can really look at it from the outside. I feel like every time when I'm talking on here, I'm receiving information that's in there that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
JC, one of the things you mentioned was about like the different religions, different gods. It just happened yesterday. I was listening to Jordan Peterson's audiobook, The 12 Rules of Life. And one of the phrases he mentioned there was an atheist is just somebody who has not decided who their God is yet.
Yeah, right.
But eventually every person will reach that part of their life, that part of their journey where they identify what God means to them. I joked about the word liberation or liberating. Actually, the experience that Kate shared about having to change her clothing,
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way, that's like a liberating experience. And it just reminds me of, a little baby that's 6 months old that poos its pants, looks up at the parents with a little smile on its face like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I did that.
Uh-huh.
And, for the baby, it's like a liberating thing. And I think, maybe there's something in that, even as adults, like older people. I've spent some time in some retirement villages and places like that where the old people, poo their pants and they look at you, they're like, yeah, that's right, I did that. But they got a little smile on their face, liberating for
Yeah.
them. They don't really care.
Can I add to that real quick? So my 2-year-old, this happened today. That's what's like, talk about the coincidences of everything. This morning, my daughter's 22 months old now, right? And I'm trying to get her to use the little potty. And she laughs every time I change her poop. It's hysterical because she gets it. She knows like I'm serving her, right? And she's laughing at me this morning. And I said to her, I said, listen, I said, and I talked to her, that's how I talk to her. I don't talk to her like a little baby. Listen, if you poop in the potty, I'm still going to have to wipe your butt. And you can still have this funny little moment where like you're in charge and I'm your servant. And she's just laughing. I'm just trying to get that through. Just, you can still poop on the potty. It'll just be better for both of us. I'm still going to have to wipe your butt.
Your first experience when you came back to the 3D world,
Mm-hmm.
you were stopping people in the street. You were sharing your message to everyone and every person that you possibly could. But the second time you did your experience, you realized that not everybody is open to that type of confrontation or that type of information. So you were more careful and more, I guess, selective about who you share that with.
Absolutely.
And Kate, of course, she arrived home. The person she's the closest to in her life, of course, is her husband, and she wanted to just share the experience. But that person maybe at that moment maybe is not ready to hear it, or perhaps Kate was super enthusiastic about how she's doing it as well. And sometimes the people really really close to us, just out of love, they worry about us. They worry that maybe you've been exposed to something or you've experienced something that they don't quite understand, or maybe you're taking a direction in your life that's maybe, might let them to feel that they're missing out on something as well. Like there's so many different ways to explain it. Chuck, I remember his wife, super encouraging before and after all the way. And I think that certainly does help if you do have someone or you discuss with someone before you're about to go on the journey that you're about to do this. And when I come back, I'd love to have some time with you to download and share it with you as well. Just be able to talk and share it. That's maybe a good idea and good advice for people that are about to experience this.
Yeah. I will say that, I have, after the first conversation with my husband, I was kind of like, yeah, maybe I should just pull back on this a little bit. But, I have since kind of brought it up a little bit more. And his reception is, I'm glad that it worked for you. And to me, that kind of solidifies, or it just means enough to where I'm like, okay, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand why I need this. He doesn't understand this path that I'm on. He quite possibly just he cared, right? But he just doesn't understand it. But at least he can see that it worked for me. Like in my head, I'm like, okay, so that has to be a positive out of all of this, because, the one person that was the most scared of, what was going to happen to me, I think physically, mentally, all the above, at least can see that, okay, it worked for you. So I'm okay with that. That's my resolve for this, and here until I, go say I'm going to go on a 9-day retreat in the Amazon and, eat bugs, then I don't know, what he's going to say to me, but we'll see.
Well, keep in mind, he's still coming to grips with it. He's still understanding it. And so are you. So as you continue to keep understanding it and yourself, he's going to see that. He's going to be blind if he can't see it. And then when in a year or whenever, when he sees you're doing so well and that you have learned so much from this experience, when you say, I'm going to go to a 7-day Amazon, he's going to be like, go for it.
I'm just gonna loop back a little bit to your experience, your journey. You said that you did not want to experience visuals, or you started to see things, but you wanted to kind of stop at that moment. I remember, like, Chuck had really, really incredible descriptions of all of the things that he saw, and JC as well. Like, what was the reason that you wanted to stop at that point? Like, were you afraid to lose control, or that you didn't want to see things that you're afraid of?
So no, actually, I was okay with the visuals. I wasn't afraid. So like, I've tried acid LSD, like when in my early teens, my friends were all doing it, and, I would take acid and go to school for the day. Like, yeah, I know, right? Imagine that. It was actually fun a couple times. Um, so it wasn't that I didn't want, I was afraid of the visuals. It was actually beautiful and it was actually really cool, but I knew that I wasn't there for that. Like, I wasn't there for the trippy part. I wasn't there to be, oh, happy trails, all of that. That's why I didn't want the visuals. Like, next time, give me all the visuals, right? Like, show me the shoebill bird that I'm flying through, my subconscious list at nighttime when I'm, meditating. But I didn't want it at that time. I just wanted
A breakthrough.
to go within my mind, I didn't want to
A breakthrough.
see, I didn't want to experience. I wanted to be in my head. And so that's why I closed my eyes.
Yeah, and JC and Chuck, like, you kind of both, I guess, went to the same place, or you went to a place that was run by the same people. And I remember you sharing that the first cup that people were drinking was maybe like a milder version. It let people to just get the feel for it. Some people, for them, it's enough, and other people, it just gives them a little bit of an experience, and then they ask for more. And they kind of just, eased people into it. And then by the time you get to your third cup, or the third drink, then Chuck said that was enough for him, and I think the same for JC as well. Like, do you guys think that the place where Kate went, maybe the concentration level of the drink was different, like maybe super super strong at the beginning?
Yeah, I actually know a little bit about that place, and the one thing that was told to me is that I think that they follow and I could be totally wrong here, but if I remember correctly, that they follow the Peruvian tradition. It's the Shipibo people, whereas the place where Chuck and I went is the Brazilian tradition. And so that place where she went, Cocoon, they don't even do a daytime ceremony, which I love the daytime. But according to the research I've done, some tribes do not do the daytime. They only do ayahuasca at night. And I think maybe because they're only doing 2 ceremonies and not 3, that they probably up the dosage, or it's a little bit more potent. I think, we're talking about plants that you put in a pot and you boil them for 16, 24 hours. I think it's also possible that, there's different recipes. Some put something else into the medicine, other plants, different types of leaves. So I think everywhere you go, you're probably getting a little bit different type of the medicine even. And I know that to be true in the jungle. So I'd have to say, being that it's probably even harder to get those plants to the United States, that there probably is even more of a variation in the product that you're getting. And I know that in the ceremonies that I did, it was different. I would say that the first ayahuasca that I drank was kind of like, I'd say it was like motor oil. Remember I said that? It was like a real viscous motor oil. And then I remember the third ceremony at night, I was chewing it. It was like dirt. Yeah. It was not, they say it's a tea. Let's be clear that that word out there, that this is a tea. No, come on, man. Like, let's not call it a tea. The tea would imply that it is mildly enjoyable. It's not a tea. It's a brew of muck.
So I had weight loss surgery. My stomach is like literally 6 ounces, holds 6 ounces, and I process things a lot different because of that. Like, even alcohol, I take literally like 3 sips of alcohol and I'm like beyond wasted, it's actually insane. So I'm wondering, and I did tell them when I arrived, like, hey, I had weight loss surgery. And he's like, oh, I only give you like 2 tablespoons, so you're fine. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to make sure. So I don't know if maybe my body processed it different, and that's why I went so deep so quick, because my stomach is not, I have a baby stomach compared to everyone else that was drinking it. That could be a reason too, not just the concentration.
Makes no sense.
And I'll know next time when I go somewhere else, if it happens again, then I'm gonna know that it's the way that my body's processing the medicine because of the size of my stomach.
So on our next episode, Chuck's going to go quite deep into his integration back into our 3D world.
Yeah.
But do you mind sharing, like, since you've come back, except for the discussions with your husband, how have you going back into work and spending time with friends, and just your view of the world and of life now? What has changed for you, and what is that experience like for you now?
It's very strange. It's very hard to communicate with people that don't really understand what is going on in my brain. And I have since learned from Joel's mistakes of don't talk about it. Like, everybody doesn't want to hear it. So I try to, dial that down, even with like my very best friend who works with me and she knows my entire life and what I'm going to say before I say it. I haven't even really had those conversations with her because it's so hard to explain, something that is going on in your brain to someone that does not understand what is going on in your brain. So it's been hard for me. I come to work and I talk to people, and thankfully I am surrounded by a lot of people who are and have been on a spiritual journey for a long time. And so I have a lot of support with like my boss and one of my employees who is a nurse practitioner who have, kind of stepped in. And when I say like, okay, I'm going crazy, they're like, no, you're not. Like, you're ascending, right? Like, this is what they keep saying to me. And, you need to just roll with it and go with it and just accept all of these crazy feelings and thoughts that you're having. And, it's okay. But the easiest way for me is I have built myself a support group of friends, right? And people who have experienced it and who are of like mind. And so I kind of lean on them. And because I have that, I'm so grateful, like, that I don't have to, in the 3D world, talk about it as much as I normally would have to, because, unfortunately my friends are like getting the text messages like, what is Thursday? And things like that. I've realized that I am who I am and I've experienced what I experienced, and I don't know if it's real or it's not real, and I don't really care. I'm not going to burden people with, not, if you don't want to hear what happened to me or, what I'm going through, then I'm not going to just bring it up and give it to you. And that's like the hardest part because I am an open book. But I just now accept that my reality is a lot different than everybody else's reality. And so I just roll with it, and I'm okay with it. It was a little hard at first, but as the days and the weeks move on, I feel like I'm okay.
I guess it only really matters to you. One of the beliefs I have is the meaning of life for me is collecting as many wonderful memories as I can for myself. It doesn't matter for other people. I've lived and worked in different countries and in China for almost 20 years. If I go back to my home country, Australia, and I talk to people that I know from before, and I talk about all of the incredible, amazing experiences and wonderful things about this culture and this country, people don't want to hear it. So I just don't talk about it because it doesn't really matter whether other people know or not. For me, it's the most incredible experience of my life, and that's all that really matters. That for me, what it means to me to be on my journey. And I think maybe that's the same for you guys as well. If people that are open, they want to learn about it, they're interested in it, they're really engaged, then go for it. Share as much as you want to. But for other people, that's, it's a little bit hard for them to hear, or they don't really understand, or no interest. It doesn't matter because you have those experiences. You own them. They will never be taken from you by anybody. And I just want to ask, I guess, JC and Chuck, like, you guys have been through integration back into the world after your journeys. What advice do you give to Kate that can help her to kind of make it smoother for her at this stage?
Yeah. My first advice would be to join the Integration with Love calls on Wednesday afternoon.
I gotcha. I'm there. I'm there.
I've been joining it the last 3 weeks, every single Wednesday, and I just soak up everything. You hear other people's stories. You realize that you aren't the only person with shit going on in your life, and everyone's dealing with their own kind of shit, and that it's all about perspective. And Ed's right. Ed nailed it. Again, there's so many intertwining relationships between therapy and self-help and all the things that we've been going through. But what plant medicine really does is give you a deep knowing that you're not just hearing someone say blah, 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 and now it feels good, right? No, you actually are going internal. You feel it deep in your soul. And then you're being reinforced with a lot of this information afterwards. And Ken just goes so deep into it and cares so beautifully about every single person that's there. So that would be my advice to you, is to join that.
I'm going to keep it real simple on this one. Don't take life too seriously, because you're never going to make it out alive. Just live. Just be happy. I mean, that's it. That's it.
Okay, so Chuck, really great episode today. Getting more diverse experiences from different people. What's your take on the episode and Kate's input today?
I mean, just her vulnerability of telling the world basically of a very embarrassing moment, but also beautiful moment for her, was empowering. So look, I look at that and think, wow, I wish I could have gone that deep right away. But at the same time, I'm happy that it took me a few go rounds to do it. Everyone's going to have a different experience. And look what happened. She left, didn't even finish her second ceremony. And now she wants to go back in a few months, or if not a few years. So, it just goes to show how impactful it is. Even weeks, months afterwards, you're still digesting it all and learning from it. So it's such a powerful medicine.
I think in terms of value for an experience, we have not even talked about what this costs for people to do. Maybe that's not necessary. But in terms of what people are getting out of this experience is not just that retreat weekend. It cascades on for weeks, months, possibly even years. That investment in your time, your energy, and your commitment to go and do that retreat, that lives with you forever. Is that right?
It is right. Yeah. The profound knowledge and knowing that you get from an experience with the plant medicine, it's going to be a life-changing thing. It's going to change your life forever and will improve your life forever. Whether, like Kate's having I would say, a much more difficult integration than I did, where everything was sort of a pink cloud for me, and she's sort of figuring out like what's real, what's not, and it's being confused between, is she still in it or not in it? That's two different spectrums of integration, but she's plowing through that to a nirvana, so to speak, of more knowing, and she's experiencing that. She's not avoiding that, and she's developing from it as well. So yeah, it's pretty profound.
Super interesting. And I'm really, really looking forward to your integration story coming up in a week's time, because your attention to detail for going into your experience, your entire description of every part of your journey was really, really incredible to watch and to listen to and to visualize. I can only imagine in my mind what some of the things you were seeing and experiencing, what they look like, to you. We did show some visuals, as you saw in our last episode, to kind of add a little bit of an element of this is what it may look like. But I think some things just cannot be described or explained. They have to be experienced.
100%. Couldn't have said it better. The next episode is going to be great. I think even if you've not done plant medicine before, but you're working on evolving yourself and learning how to live this beautiful life and being happy every single day, there's going to be some really good nuggets for you to come and join for the next episode.
Just a nice quote to finish off, Chuck. So now go do the best things in life. Bring the fight to this world while you can. Make the most of the rest of your life. Share your lights on this world while you can. See you next time, everyone. Love you.
Love you. See you guys.
Bye-bye.